So they're right out over here.
I'm gonna join up here then, because if we don't join here, it's gonna it'll time out after 7 o'clock. We have some.
What the heck is this? I never saw this before. I want this, right? Okay. I have my speaker off. Is that somebody's name? How is
Oh,
that?
yeah, up there, you're fine.
Oh, I see.
Switch back and forth between so I'll allow the camera to free up for the large pictures that you see behind you. Otherwise, yours covers up the whole time and everyone's in this one.
All right, so
So if you, they all have agendas here. You just switch back and forth.
yeah, we've got some feedback.
So everyone's just gonna mute their PCs.
So everyone should.
Your mic's off, your sound off.
Michael Branda. Danielle Drost. Dr. Bruce Fletcher. Beth Mankey Hut-Wagner.
Here.
Richard Leverrier. Amy Parati.
Here.
Sam Sharma.
Here.
Jessica Weaver.
Here.
Anastasia Yap.
Here.
Okay, if you have.
Here. Can you hear me?
Device, and you have your speakers.
Hello? I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't know what happened to this. I think it went, it like died or something. Hello?
Because we are unable to hear Dr. Fletcher.
That might be a blessing for them. Can they hear me now? Okay. All right, we switched to Verizon. They can hear me now. All right, so I'm just going to ask you to be forgiving to me as I call off these names. We're going to be recognizing the Connecticut Student Award recipients. These are Platinum Award winners, and they're going to be published in the 2022 Connecticut Student Writers Magazine. So what I would like, I know we have some that are virtual, but those of you that are in person, when I call your name, if you would please come forward, and we're going to present you with your award. Okay. All right. So these are the in-person. I'm going to call the in-person ones first, okay? It looks like Max Kurzitkowski from Anna Reynolds, grade 2. Congratulations. handyman in the house.
Yeah, they just kind of split off. I'll get better for this call. Oh, there we go. So this is for you, Max. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Why don't you turn around so they can take your picture?
We're joined by Mr. Helming from Anna Reynolds, who's right over here. And
Mr. Helming, good to see you.
he helps promote the writing program at Anna Reynolds. So he came tonight to watch us.
And he's a top-notch teacher, top-notch teacher. Yes, you are. All right, and next we have Mr. Robert Perlmutter from Anna Reynolds, grade 2.
Dad, want to get a little picture with the board chair? Congratulations. Is
also
Quinn
have-
here tonight, Amy?
She's on Quinn's right there.
Okay,
How about Anthony?
and Anthony is online too.
Anthony's online. Okay, so virtually joining us tonight is Madeline Zippor from Anna Reynolds, grade 1.
There she is, at the very bottom. with the
Oh, there
phone.
she is. All right. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Madeline. We'll make sure you get this tomorrow. And what else is on your list?
All right, next up we have Diana Prahitko from Anna Reynolds, grade 1.
Where's Diana on our screen? Can you, Diana, wave to us? Oh, there she's the bottom one. Okay.
Oh, she's the bottom one. Okay. All right.
Congratulations, Diana. We'll make sure you get this tomorrow.
Thank you.
And also joining us virtually, Mr. Anthony Coltrera from John Patterson, grade 1.
Is he on our screen? There he is.
All right.
My sister was here last week.
Yes.
Family's writing family for sure.
And last but not least is Quinn DeVoe, Martin Kellogg, grade 6.
Amy Karate.
Miss Parati.
Can we present this to you? Thank you. Congratulations.
All right.
Quinn.
Congratulations to each one of you.
All
Let's
right.
give them a hand.
Those delivered tomorrow.
Okay. Next up, we are going to recognize the Newington Hockey Co-op team. Congratulations, guys. Do you all want to come up and then I'll read the proclamation?
Could you introduce, Mr. Myers, the folks that are here tonight representing the hockey team?
There you go.
Sure. Well, first of all, I would just like to thank Board of Education and our district leadership for inviting our programs here tonight. Our winter programs are, again, all of our programs work continuously to represent our community very well. The two programs that are here tonight reach the apex of sports and the apex of what they compete in. The first group we're going to welcome tonight is our ice hockey program. Coach Dave Harakwitz, Mr. Lou Grubin, and Paul Helensky. If you guys could come on up. Players, come on up. Guys, come on up. So our ice hockey program does an unbelievable job of really uniting communities. Our ice hockey program is 5 towns that join together. But if you walked in their locker room, you would not know who was from where. They are Newington Co-op representatives. They represent their community. They also represent the Newington community. And it's extremely awesome to walk into their locker room and have them do that. So I'd just like to have Coach kind of say a few words and just introduce the players for us. Sure.
First of all, thank you for having us. This means a lot to our program to be recognized here tonight. We really appreciate it quite a bit. So we have 3 players here. First, we have Tyler Levitt, one of our seniors. He's from Manchester. Tyler. Next, we have one of our juniors from Newington, Evan Oliver. And one of our seniors from Berlin, Blake Blackwood. And I'll just say that without the bonding of our players, and as Chris alluded to, the chemistry in the locker room, we would not have achieved what we achieved. It was strictly a brotherhood in the locker room, players playing for each other all year, picking each other up. It's really hard to get to a championship game, and these guys deserve all the credit in the world for getting there. And then finishing it off, because it's not easy beating a team 3 times during the season. And that was the 3rd time we played Conard. It was really, really tough, but these guys came through, and the coaches were so happy to see them, when the clock was ticking down, that we had finally done it. It was just a great feeling from the coaching staff that, these guys deserved everything they worked really hard for all season. So again, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Board chair is now going to read a proclamation for the hockey team.
All right. Whereas the hard work, dedication, sportsmanship, talent, and exceptional team chemistry of the 2022 Newington Co-op hockey team has enabled these student athletes to earn the 3rd ice hockey state championship in school history. And whereas the head coach and the entire coaching staff, team member parents, faculty, and student body at Newington Co-op hockey were integral in guiding the team to victory through their unwavering support. And whereas winning the 2022 Ice Hockey State Championship brought honor to the Newington Co-op hockey team community, and therefore be it resolved that it is the desire of the Newington Board of Education to recognize and heartily congratulate the Newington Co-op hockey team student athletes on earning 3rd Ice Hockey State Championship on its outstanding accomplishment. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Newington Board of Education is directed to spread this resolution upon the minutes of this meeting and to provide a suitable copy to the Newington Co-op hockey team. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So much.
Thank you.
Very impressive game.
Yeah.
All right.
Tyler, great goal.
That's his equivalent of the Stanley Cup right there.
That's it.
Well, Stanley
That's
Cup.
awesome.
Thanks.
Ready for it.
Wow.
That's it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, gentlemen. Before we recognize the girls' basketball, I would like to open it up to the board members for any comments that you'd like to make. Mr. Leverrier?
Yeah, congratulations, hockey team. Again, Tyler, great goal to even it up. Yeah, it wasn't, bad vibe there in the second period. Andrew, too bad that he's not here. 21 seconds later, that's a legend born right there. You guys did great. Congratulations.
Okay, Mr. Rose?
Congratulations, guys. It's awesome. Nice to see Evan all grown up. So I just want to say thank you. So the vibe in the town has changed. Like, we hear such great things, and it's because you guys worked hard and you made Newington just shine. And so thank you for all your hard work. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, and online we have Mr. Sharma.
Hey, I just want to thank the hockey team for making us proud. Thank you for doing a great job and, making Newington proud. Thanks a lot.
Okay, Mrs. Hudwagner?
Congratulations, obviously, on the sportsmanship, but also just, what your coach talked about, the way that you all came together and worked as a team and worked as a family. I think that is just so commendable, and that those memories and lessons will stick with you for the rest of your lives. And I'm just so excited to see what you do from here. So thank you for making Newington shine, and congratulations to you.
All right, and virtually, Ms. Yop?
Hi, I just want to say congratulations. You guys rock. Thank you so much. This is an awesome, awesome, awesome achievement. So congratulations. Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Branda?
Thank you. Just kind of going back to what Coach has said, I think it's awesome that you represent multiple towns, sometimes towns that could be considered rivals, but you come together and come together as a team, and those are bonds and memories that will last you a lifetime. So congrats. It's awesome. This hockey program is really turning into quite the gem for this town and the towns that you all come from. And I'm just really proud that you all represent Newington and the towns that you're from. So thank you and congrats.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Ms. Weaver.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that. Congratulations, guys. The last time we were celebrating that, I was in high school. So thanks for bringing it back. And I remember then, like the hairstyles. So I just want to congratulate you guys on those. It's not the like dyed blonde hair. That was like a weird golden that like never came out right. But I appreciated that. But I just love it because it's really reflective of the spirit of our hockey teams. Always the mullet style, trying to bring it back. So I think, just want to commend that as well. But like we said, you guys are student athletes. So I think Mr. Myers always says, not just athletes, but students as well. So I want to commend you on all of that because I know this time is like a crazy time too already with your academic, but balancing that. And I think that's really going to help you moving forward as you all go off to your next endeavors. Time management is one of those things. So not only being great athletes, but being great students as well is something that is not only reflective of what we want Newington students to be, but I think all of our towns. So congratulations on that. And, just keep the dynasty going for us. That'd be really great. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I want to say congratulations to you as well. I am a former high school hockey player myself. I will not tell you how long ago it was, but I really enjoyed it. We did experience a state championship at one point in my high school, which was actually back in the 1970s. It's a great feeling. There is a lot of hard work that goes into it. I don't know what time you guys practice, but we used to practice at 6 a.m. And, that's when we could get the ice hockey rink in Stansted, Quebec. And that's when we would practice and play. So I know the work, so keep it up. And, we're going to try to repeat next year, right? It is a privilege to be able to share this with you tonight. So once again, congratulations. Give them a hand, yes. Now the girls.
So our second program that's being recognized tonight is our girls basketball program. I'd like to ask Coach Tancredi and his players to come on up. So both teams that are here this evening, I think you don't just get to championship games. It's sacrifice, it's time, it's effort, it's commitment. It's things that are going to allow you to be successful well past your high school career. And I think these two programs really reflect it beautifully. When you go into one of their practices, they challenge each other. They're demanding more from the person to the left and to the right. And they're building on their own character. And I think our coaching staffs from all of our athletic programs, but particularly these two, demand that. And I think our student athletes are representing our community great athletically, but I think they are all going to be able to take the attributes that they've learned through this program and apply them to real world situations. But these guys really excelled at a really high level. And I'm going to allow Coach Tancredi to say a few words.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it. First, I want to start out by thanking someone that doesn't get a lot of thanks all the time, but does all the behind the scenes work for us. And that's Myers right here. Chris Myers does an excellent job with all their programs. So just clap it up for Chris Myers first off. Yes, you got it. So like I mentioned, I'm Mark Tancredi. I'm the head girls basketball coach at the high school. We have our senior class here, our 5 seniors. We have Lily Ferguson, Chris Azako, Ariana Barnes, Adriana Romano, and Marley Zacco. So a little bit about the season. Hockey took a lot of my material, but to be a successful team, you got to have one great culture and you got to play for one another. And that's what we did this season. And one of the words that we really focused on this year was consistency, being consistent every day in practice and in games. And we did that. And that's why we got to where we did this season. And some of the highlights were we beat multiple top 10 teams throughout the season. We were ranked #1 for a majority of the season, more than any other program in the state. We beat E.O. Smith 3 times in a row, which is extremely difficult to do, especially a program like that. And it's one thing to talk about getting to a state championship, but it's another one playing in it. And it was really a pinnacle for us, and we expect to be back there for years to come. And I really want to shift the focus to the senior class. They've been transformational for us, to be honest and be clear. When I came in, this was the group that came in with me. And we talked a lot about culture and what we wanted to build, what we wanted Newington girls basketball to be, what we wanted Newington athletics to be. And they've been a perfect picture of that. And before you could win on the basketball court, you got to win in life. And we have winners right here. Very high character kids. They're going to be super successful outside the basketball court. They're really talented on the basketball court. So I'm extremely proud of them. I'm extremely proud of their teammates that are going to come back and impact our program for years to come. So congratulations to you guys.
Thank you. All right, whereas we celebrate that the Newington girls basketball team advanced to the state championship game in history for a chance at a state title since 1993, although not a win, the team was victorious in their dedication, determination, and teamwork. And whereas we recognize the athletic director, the coaches, the team captains, and the entire team for their outstanding performance, and whereas the team had a great season, allowing them to advance to the state championship game, therefore be it resolved that we urge all of the citizens of our community to join with us in actively expressing appreciation to the girls basketball team who represent an investment in excellence in our community. Be it further resolved that the Secretary of the Newington Board of Education is directed to spread this resolution upon the minutes of this meeting and to provide a suitable copy to the head girls basketball coach.
Congratulations.
All right.
Open it up to comments.
I'm going to open it up to comments. Ms. Drost.
We have to gush on you guys too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to say, again, with the community, you guys built, you don't see the behind the scenes of what you did. You built this community of people talking about you. I feel like I know you too, because the rest of me, like, I feel like I know you. My kids came home, they were talking about you. Like, well, I feel like you sit at my kitchen table, because like, I don't know, you're like, oh, that's Lily Ferguson, right? Coach, great job. Like these, young people are amazing. And so I know it kind of stinks to not, but you are champions and you're awesome. And yes, I was going to actually give the shout out to Mr. Myers, because I do know that, you guys do a lot of hard work, but you guys did it. You made Newington High awesome and shine in the community. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. LaVerriere? Okay, Ms. Wagner.
I was actually going to give a shout out to you, Mr. Leary. He was texting us constant updates, and I kept grabbing my phone. What's happening? Regardless of the outcome, we are so incredibly proud of you. And like, this is only the beginning. These are memories that are going to last you a lifetime. But I have no doubt that you're all seniors. Yeah. So next year, this is going to continue. Are you playing next year in college? Where are you going? Awesome. But just the skills and the leadership and everything you learned outside of the ball, playing basketball, that's going to follow you forever. And also the legacy that you leave behind is going to stay here forever in Newington. Your names will be talked about for years and years to come. So congratulations.
Mr. LaVerriere.
Congratulations, ladies, great season. Wish the second half went a little better, but it is what it is, right? You all are our champions in our heart. Lily going to UMass, you are all state, right? That's 16 points and 6.2 boards a game. That's pretty legit. Keep it up when you get to UMass.
Except for when you're playing
When you get to UMass, find the true leaders. Follow them, be like them. You'll know them when you see them, and keep your head up and win up there for us, okay? And the rest of you ladies, I don't know you too well at all, but thank you for the 4 years that you've played here. It means a lot, and it was a fun time for us as fans as well. And wish you all the best going into college or whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, take care.
Mr. Branda.
So I was away the weekend of your championship game, but I had family that was there that are not living in Newington, so they obviously were keeping me up to date. And because Mohegan Sun was crazy that weekend, everybody decided to go apparently. But I got a text after the game, and yeah, obviously, unfortunately, you lost, but he said, everybody in Newington should be proud of that team because the effort that you put on the court, and it showed. So somebody who was not biased, I wanted to share that because, you know, he saw it as a basketball fan. He saw how hard you all worked together and how hard you played. And, you know, like Richard said, you know, even though you didn't win that last game, you put it all out there and you gave it your best, and you all are amazing student athletes. So just thank you and congratulations on all your hard work paying off.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Weaver?
Yeah, I just want to echo all of the sentiment that's being said. So obviously, we're celebrating you. But I think I'm glad you brought all the senior class because I feel like these names have been in the paper and online for many years, your entire 4 years. I think we've seen all your, names and stuff, and we've already had CCC championships won. And I know particularly when we shut down in 2020, that was a really hard season because it hit you guys, all of you, right as that was happening. And I think to be able to come back from that is really impressive, but also shows all of the character that you all share in terms of being able to adapt and get through it and then come back and have an absolutely amazing season. So I just want to commend you all for that because I know all of us were impacted by this in very different ways, but I think having, one of your core seasons, you only get 4 if you're playing all 4 years. So it's just something that I think you all should be commended for, not just your last season, which not a good bad way to go out being in, Mohegan Sun, I will say. But like everybody else said, I think, maybe March Madness still an IMU fan, obviously. So, but I think it's really important to say we already had our March Madness for Newington. So, thank you for doing that on behalf of the town. It's really good to have our sports teams do well because it gets the community involved, and it's important to show off that we have really great student athletes. So I'm really excited for all of you, and I think it's a great way to end Women's History Month by having our women make history here. So congratulations to you all. Good luck in your next endeavors. We're in the home stretch of senior year, so good luck, and take a break and then get back on the court. Thank you.
Ms. Parati.
Thank you. I just want to say congratulations on a great season, and thank you for being a great role.
All right, I want to say congratulations to you. Job well done. We're very proud of you. And I'm sure that all of your fellow students at the high school are very happy with you as well. So thank you again for all that you've done and what you meant to your team. And as you go on, I wish you the best. And as you continue your careers, always remember that you got the heart of a champion. All right.
Just want to say we're very proud of you, and I had the privilege of attending many of your games this year, and I loved every one of them, and it was thrilling to be at Mohegan Sun, and we're super proud of all your accomplishments. So keep up the good work, and thank you to all. And our hockey team, very proud of you as well. I was at the championship game. What an amazing experience that was. And I want to say this about both teams: gentlemanly, women that play together respectfully. Just there was a different feel to our team than some of the other teams I watched you play against. And that makes me equally as proud as your athletic talents because it just represents our district so well. So thank you very much. And to our talented writers, you're making us proud as well. Mr. Helming, thank you for coming tonight. He promotes this program ardently at Anna Reynolds, and it spreads to other district schools as well. So we appreciate that. And I'll turn it back over to you, Dr. Fletcher. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for coming.
Say that you also did women's basketball because you kind of do everything. Yeah.
Well, I was going to confess that I never played women's basketball. I couldn't handle the defeat.
That's amazing. Like, we look forward to reading your biography.
Well, I don't think I have time to write one. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Congratulations. All right. So at this time, I'm going to move on to agenda item C, which is our public participation on any matter related to board responsibilities. You can do it in person via telephone, or you can do it in person or via telephone. The number to call is 860-665-8659. And I do limit civil participation to 3 minutes. So do we have anybody in the Zoom from the public that wishes to speak? Or any calls that have come in at this time? I'll give it a couple of moments. So I'm not seeing anybody in Zoom. Anybody calling us, Miss Craig? It will. Oh, and it hasn't. Okay. Well, move my mouse out of the way. Okay. So then, seeing that there is no public participation, we're going to move on to item D, which is our consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes from February 16th, 23rd, and March 16th. So do I have a motion on that? Okay. There may not be a written one. You can go right ahead.
Move the Board of Education approve the minutes.
Yes.
February 23rd and March 16th.
All right. Motion is made and seconded. Okay. So I'm not going to do it by roll call vote. Do we have any questions? Any discussion? So simply all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Okay, the ayes have it. We will now move on to item E, Superintendent of Schools report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fletcher. Sure. It is my pleasure to introduce Bev Lawrence, principal of Ruth Chafee. Have you been able to give her access to be a presenter? I'm going to let her introduce her team, but as a preamble, this team, who we got to see the other day in action, has done remarkable things at Ruth Chafee to advance the interventions and services provided to our students, all through a lens of equity. But I am not going to do any more spoiler alerts. I'm going to let Ms. Lawrence tell us about the great Ruth Chafee intervention team. Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you. So did I hear that I'll have the ability to share my screen?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
If not, I can help you, but I think you're in.
All right, I will let you know. You may have to help me. I don't know that I've done it before through Zoom. So I'm going to try.
You should have a green button on the bottom.
I do.
Okay.
So it works. Once you find that, it's very similar to Google.
Okay.
And there it is.
So let me get to the one I want you to see. Are you able to see it?
Bev, we can't see it.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying now. Let's see. No.
As long as the document is opened and
Yeah,
not
it is.
minimized.
Here,
Yeah,
I'll try it again. It says I'm sharing the
there you
screen.
go.
It's up now. Thank you.
We're totally in.
Thank you. Sorry about that. All right, so we'll first start with, I have two ladies from our team that are joining me today. I have Mrs. Kim Garger and Mrs. Rachel West Balling. And I'll introduce them a little bit more as we move through our share today. So as Dr. Brummett alluded to, we wanted to share a little bit more about what we refer to as our RC intervention team. And I'm excited for you to hear about the function of the team and how we support our teachers and our students. So our mission is we are committed to regularly monitoring the social, emotional, and academic growth of all students at Ruth Chavey. Our work includes courageous conversations and an emphasis on equity, inclusion, and fidelity. So these are the members of our team, and two of them are here with me tonight. So we have Kim Garger, who is also the co-facilitator and our literacy coach and consultant. And then we also have Rachel West Balling, our school social worker. And as you can see, we have multiple members within the school community that are members of this team as well, from our classroom teachers to interventionists to our school psychologists and school social workers, or special education teachers, I meant. As a professional community, our commitment is to support all students and teachers by reviewing and analyzing district assessment data through an equity lens to determine who is meeting, close to meeting, or not meeting benchmark. Monitoring improvement plans, including individualized action steps and progress monitoring. Working with individual teachers to streamline the intervention and ensure fidelity. And so what that means is that we have some students who may be in support of additional instruction. And so we work with those teachers to develop the appropriate action plan or action steps and the appropriate amount of time in which that intervention should be taking place. So I'm turning it over to Mrs. Garger now.
Good evening. So we monitor all of our students at Chafee School, and we look at their progress throughout the year, and we're always, again, following that equity lens, and we're asking the following questions. Are our Black students making growth? Are our Hispanic students making growth? Are our multiracial students making growth? Are students with disabilities making growth? And are our ML students making growth? Our focus, again, is on small group and differentiated instruction in Tier 1. So meaning all of our students in the classroom, making sure that they have and are getting what they need. And we look at how often is this targeted instruction occurring in that Tier 1 block? And are the lessons that the teacher is providing intentionally planned? And are they driven by assessments? And then again, when we look at our improvement plans, this is part of our agenda that we set each week. We review the improvement plans in our NPS data system to ensure that the instruction is targeted and that the progress monitoring teachers are doing is occurring with fidelity. The Tier 1 is typically done by the classroom teacher, and Tiers 2 and 3 can be performed by the classroom teacher and or our interventionist or special education teacher. And then some of the members of our team serve as liaisons to each grade level PLC to support the conversations about students that have these plans. And when it's needed, we collaborate to create or to revise the action steps. And we support all of our teachers. When we meet, we say no shame, no blame, no excuses. So if you need help, say it, we're there to help you. We assist teachers with creating their plans and monitoring and helping them with their action steps and their graphs to monitor their student progress. And something new that we've been offering is office hours. So we're willing to meet before and after school with teachers and during any planning periods they have to assist them with the creation of their plans and her help with their graphs.
Thank you, Kim. And so I reached out to a couple of our teachers and they, I reached out to more than a couple, but I was trying to be mindful of our time together today and just wanted to share a few, just the things that you're going to hear their colleagues say about them really proves how beneficial the team is in supporting our teachers as well as supporting our students. So one teacher says, Kim and Sue have been instrumental in assisting me by reviewing my plans, my progress monitoring graphs, and figuring out next steps in order to better serve my students. Whenever I have a question or a wonder, I never hesitate to reach out to them because I know that they will do whatever it takes to help me. Kim and Sue are very approachable and always willing to lend a hand. Since things are always changing and updating, and I want to do whatever I can to benefit my students, I am willing to give up some time to meet with them when I have questions or concerns. Having additional office hours built into our weeks has made it easier for me to reach out to this team so that I can get the answers I need in a more timely manner. Our students are our #1 priority, and Kim and Sue are beneficial to us teachers having them reach their full potential. And that comes from Grace Steck, the 2nd grade teacher. Another teacher shared, Sue has been an absolute godsend in helping me stay on top of my improvement plans. And while they aren't perfect, with her guidance, I have been so much more consistent, reflective, and responsive to my students' growth and needs this year. We change them as necessary. She helps me find other methods for monitoring and teaching progress to supplement the main charts. And she is so encouraging, knowledgeable, positive, and supportive. I'm able to see what's working, what isn't, and feel empowered to make whatever changes I need to, or leave in place whatever is going well. And that is from Erin Gilbert, one of our 4th grade teachers. I saved this one for last because this one, the teacher was just so excited, had so much to share. I actually had to sort of condense it, or it would have maybe taken up about 5 slides. So I did my best to kind of condense all of the great information that she shared, but I didn't want to take away from the meaning and how she really felt and how passionate she was about this. So this teacher says, data compilation is a complicated process and a bit daunting for teachers who do not use it as in-depth as some do on a daily basis, such as those who are involved in whole school or cross-district examinations of global data. It can also be complex for those trying to learn how to extract information from the data that can be a helpful tool to benefit their students. Spending time with Kim and Sue was very valuable. They asked questions and showed me steps that increased my understanding of various data keeping processes, including how to add information to make a graph more detailed and therefore more helpful to anyone who reads it. Then she goes on to say, one thing I discovered to be very helpful was how moving along more quickly from one plan to the next helped a few of my students make growth. I freely admit that I'm still no expert, but I appreciate their willingness to help me learn and grow in this area. I feel very comfortable asking them questions, and I feel very confident that I will receive the support I need to become a more effective and fluent educator in this critical area. And that is from Sonia Casarado, a 1st grade teacher. Mrs. West-Balling.
Hello, everybody. So this year, we have started having we've started incorporating Courageous Conversations framework into our intervention team meetings. And, at first it was something sitting on our agenda and we didn't even quite know what to do with it. It is a courageous place to go in our district. And certainly as a district, we're all making strides at all of our individual schools, but just district-wide as well. But what I love about our team is that week after week, we kept it on the table, we kept it there. And we slowly but surely, with a lot of wonderful professional development from Bev, which I think helped us move forward in using courageous conversations in our intervention team, we are getting to a place where it's not just sitting as an agenda item, but it really is, it's at the top of the agenda. And when participants are coming to this meeting, when our team is gathering, we all, see around us, because there's big posters everywhere that kind of remind us of the process to help guide us when we're talking about student data, when we're talking about students, especially students, our Black students, Hispanic students, our multiracial students, our multilingual students. So we follow the framework in all of our meetings, where when students are brought up for conversation, especially when we're looking at data and we're seeing those gaps that are occurring with our Black, Hispanic, multiracial, our students with disabilities, that, we do that check-in on the compass, where are we at when we are discussing some of these students? And so when you see the compass in this slide, you can be in any area of the compass at any time. It's helpful to kind of think of where you are and then where you shift, and kind of coming to that center to help ground yourself when thinking of these students that we talk about. So certainly, there's a lot of times where we might be in an emotional place when we're first thinking about a student who's really struggling and having a lot of interventions and still seeing the struggle, that moral place where we just believe that, there's got to be something else that's going on and that's impacting, and what do we do to get this kid moving forward? Because we believe in our hearts that there's so much in there and there's so much we can do. That intellectual part where we might be thinking, about that fidelity, about, how do we move that data forward? What kind of research can we look into to move ahead in working with the student or students? And then that relational piece, which is the action. What are we going to do differently? What are our actions going to be? And included in following that framework are 4 conditions, which are funny. When we start the year off with all of our different meetings throughout the district, we always develop norms. And so with Courageous Conversations and with using the framework, it comes with 4 norms, which are called conditions, which are very important in keeping our conversations isolated on race when we are talking about students of color, when we are talking about students with disabilities. And that is to stay engaged, to speak our truth, to experience discomfort, and to expect and accept non-closure. And again, we are still in beginning stages of this, but we are seeing that as we continue to have these conversations and we continue to have Bev guiding us with these wonderful professional developments, and a lot of PLC work is happening with this too, that we're seeing more and more that our teachers are growing more comfortable isolating race when we are looking at this data, when we are thinking about how do we support these students. There's also 6 agreements within this framework, getting personal right here, right now. And again, kind of referring back to that whole no shame, no blame, no excuses. Keeping the spotlight on race. So we know it's very quick to go to maybe gender differences, learning differences, things like that, but really important when we're using this framework to really isolate race and keep race on the table. That we engage multiple racial perspectives, keeping us all at the table, even if it's uncomfortable. And then thinking, what do we mean when we are talking about race? So using that working definition of race, which I know the District Equity Committee team led by Gerald Hairston, has helped do a lot of work on defining that for our district. And then last, let's talk about whiteness. We know that we are a predominantly white staffed district, and we are increasingly diverse. So how do we keep that in our minds as we are thinking of interventions for these students and when we're meeting on them in this team? So again, to isolate race when reviewing student data, student progress, and when we're brainstorming interventions. Also, thinking about our locus of control. What are we in control of? So trying not to admire problems that we cannot necessarily solve at the school level, but really thinking about when we have our students with us, what can we do to support them in moving forward and filling in those gaps and just creating those relationships. And then lastly, being aware of our assumptions that can lead to deficit thinking regarding the student, their family, and even their culture. So we've been doing a lot of work on reframing how we might be thinking about students who aren't making the progress that we'd like them to see. And so instead of saying they're not motivated, that we try to reframe that as, we know they're motivated, we just haven't found what that is yet. So we need to explore that further. So we had a recent shift in which we decided that because behavior can be very different than certainly meeting on students strictly for academics, for reading, for writing, for math. And so behavior can get a little murky because there's a lot of variability. There's a lot of reasons as to why behaviors might shift up and down with students. We know right now mental health is at an all-time high in terms of mental health needs. And so, oftentimes we find that we're at meetings where certainly behaviors and academics, it's will and skill that work together to impact that student in making that progress. And so we want to offer think tank sessions, which happens before the SRBI meeting, which gives the teachers and our team an opportunity for the classroom teacher to discuss their behavioral concerns of the student. So they give us background knowledge and what they've done so far to help support their student. And then brainstorm with our team for additional support and or strategies or interventions to put into place. So action steps for tier 1. So really thinking about, sometimes when we are talking about behavior, we might be thinking, oh, we've tried everything. But in these think tank sessions, we really try to think, have we really, what else do we know about this student? What else can we learn about this student? Let's think about their culture. Let's think about, do they come from more of a collectivist family or individualistic? How do we kind of really suss out those differences that make them unique and special and wonderful, but then be able to tailor some interventions to support them? And then lastly, to discuss appropriate data collection to better understand the students' needs. As we know, teachers spend a lot of time on certain plans collecting a lot of data, but we want to make sure it's the data that's really going to help us make the best determination that the student is making that expected behavior progress. So really isolating, what is the most salient behavior in that time to support the teacher in collecting that data, working the interventions and seeing if we're seeing that progress moving forward.
Thank you, Mrs. Westwally. And so what we hope to do in the very near future as a team is to embark in a book club. And I think the debate will be more or less, which book will we dive into first? There are 2 here, Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain, and also Crucial Conversations. So we think, again, it'll be a debate, which book we'll dive into first. So thank you. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board members? Ms. Rose?
I have 2. So the first one, you keep saying fidelity, like use with fidelity, and it's educational jargon. So I'm just curious what that looks like. Keep saying we're using fidelity. What does that mean?
Yeah, so what that really means is that if we say, and then I'll let Ms. Garger jump in as well if I don't hit every part. But what that really means is that if we develop, action steps and we say that we are going to provide this particular intervention for a certain amount of a certain amount of days per week, and a certain amount of weeks, we expect that, that the teachers actually do that type of intervention is happening consistently every day. And so what we also do, which we didn't share today, is we also make sure that our teachers keep a fidelity calendar, because they may be doing their best to really meet with the student. But if the student is absent or is ill for a certain amount of days, then they keep a note of that. And then we come back to the table to determine if we need to continue to go out with this support for a few more weeks, because the student may not have received it with true fidelity or true consistency because he or she may have been absent. Or we had a snow day, all the fun things that come along with, school.
Yes.
My second question is, I'm just gonna say it, like, I know, so people don't know me, I'm an educator, everything you've seen, there must be some book out there that says, present this to every educator out there, because I've seen it before, so it's just, it's statewide, I have a feeling, which is awesome. I know that there's gaps, and I know that your presentation is about meeting those gaps, but, when we present it, and this is going out to the public, and we say, we're looking at Black students, we're looking at Hispanics, right? So as a mom, I'm like, okay, well, if my white student is struggling, and I know that that's not the intention. I absolutely know that, but we need to be very thoughtful in how we're presenting things like this, because it really, and I know you're not, I absolutely know that that is not the case. And I know that this is about closing the gap, but when we present something like that to the public, it can become very controversial, and it can be like, well, what about my white kids? So I think we need to be mindful of how we're presenting that information.
Certainly understand that. What we hope, what we hope that people really do walk away with, and that's everyone, educators and non-educators, is that we started off with all students. And the reason we isolate those students is because they are students who are not, sort of, that's where the gap exists. And we know that even when you heard us mention students with disabilities, we're noticing that our students with disabilities who are white are outperforming our Black and Hispanic students. And so the reason we are keying on that is because that is where the achievement gap exists. However, we started this presentation with all students, and that means every single student in our building.
And I 100% appreciate everything you said. Like, there's nothing other than I'm like, oh my gosh, no wait. But I know that has come to our attention as a board, that the way that things are presented, if you're not in the education field, you may just kind of rub you the wrong way. And I don't want us to lose support of, it's a great initiative. Obviously, we need to close the gap. That's nothing new. So
nothing new. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And I definitely want to say this too, just to kind of, help maybe clear up some of that, is I don't want anyone to walk away with the thinking that this is a new initiative. Closing the achievement gap has been around for, I can't even tell you how many years. This is not a new initiative for us. We have always looked at the achievement gap. So I definitely want to make sure that that's clear. I don't want anyone in the public to think that this is a new initiative.
Okay. All right, we'll go to Mr. Sharma first. He's had his hand up. So virtual Mr. Sharma.
I got a question for Ms. Lawrence, the principal. Can you talk about the racial diversity in your school among students? And then compared to like the diversity amongst the staff, what's the picture?
Got you. So I don't know the numbers right now off the top of my head as far as, but our students are diverse, our classrooms are diverse, our staff, not so much. So, you have I have myself, obviously, as the Black principal, and we have a few paras, and I do have a teacher also of color, and I want to say that's it.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Beth Wagner.
Not a question, but just a quick comment. I just wanted to really commend you on the fidelity piece, especially this year. I feel that COVID has really widened that achievement gap. And that's just something that I, as an educator, as a parent, as just a member of the community, something I think about all the time. And so the keeping of the fidelity calendar, especially this year, I know we're not quarantining like we were at the beginning of this year, but my gosh, it was like 2 weeks out and then you're in, and then 2 weeks out and then 5 days out. And it's, so keeping that calendar, I think, is just such a step in the right direction, and really just shows such promise and determination to make this work and to help all of these kiddos. So I just commend you for that. I think that's fantastic.
Thank you. Ms. Weaver?
I'm like, hi. Don't know which way to look. But just wanted to first thank you for this. I think it's always good to have that, and also to be able to say that, because as a more data driven person, I'm always looking at, okay, we have the aggregate and then we disaggregate no matter what. Whatever you're looking at, education or non-education, it's always good to disaggregate, see if there's differences. And I think that's really the spirit of what this work is about. And also shout out to Ms. Casarato, love you. But I wanted to just kind of parse through a little bit. If you could just elaborate a little bit more on, in terms of the disaggregation of that data. I think this is like more of a quantitative, qualitative kind of thing. But it's not just test scores, but I guess what are we kind of assessing with that data? What is that data made of? Not just tests, but what kind of data is that? Because I know obviously we keep saying like, oh, data this, data that. And I guess just to give, a little more transparency to that is, because I think it's more than just that, but we obviously need some kind of baseline or a way to be able to compare apples to apples.
Absolutely. So that's a great question. So we have obviously our district benchmark assessments. And we also have, unit assessments, whether they're math unit assessments or reading. We also have an opportunity to see our students, writing ability through our writing assessments. We also do running records. And that gives us some indication about where our students are as readers as well. We also use their JOTS. Some of you who maybe have small children hear that a lot. We look at their readers' notebooks, their readers' journals, their math journals, you name it, we're looking at all of it, their homework. And that is what is brought to the table. The benchmark data is just not enough information. And so we look at the whole student. We also look at their habits of work and how they are performing in the classroom. Are they ready learners, ready listeners? So we're looking at all of that when we think about our students. And I just have to give a shout out to not only the ladies who joined me here today, but just to the Chafee staff. I have a wonderful group of educators who I think if they all could have been here, they probably would have to just share in all of the work that is just happening at Chafee. And this little snippet that you received about our intervention team is just that, is a snippet of Chafee. I welcome you to stop in at Chafee at any time. Did that answer your question? Nope, I think we lost sound.
I don't think there's any sound.
Oh.
If you guys can hear us, there's no sound. We can't hear anything. This is Anastasia talking.
All right, can you hear me now? Oh, no, I can't.
Still no sound.
Ms. Yap, I think they said that you can go ahead. They can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see the chat. My apologies. So my question is for you exactly. So is this a process that you've implemented already, or is this something that, you know, we're going to start?
Yes, nope, it's been around, our intervention team has been around for a few years now. But this is the first year where we revamped it, I guess, for a lack of a better word. I like to say, with every year it gets better.
My second question is, well, second and third is, do you feel like you have adequate support and the tools needed to implement this program? I mean, is there anything else that you guys are, needing resource-wise in regards to this? And have you seen, significant results?
We are seeing results for sure. And again, I think it's I can't take the credit as just the members of the team. It is a team effort. So that includes grade level team members. It includes the classroom teacher, obviously. It includes our interventionist. So we have a team of people working together to support all of our students. And in a lot of cases, in most cases, if not all, the parents are heavily involved as well. They know if we do move from a process, which we refer to as the SRBI process, the parents are involved in that process.
Awesome. And I don't know if I can ask a question, Mr. Farisi, because I can't hear anyone still.
Go ahead.
Oh, now we can hear you. It just
Yep.
came back.
Just came back, yeah. Thank you for the data, Mr. Farisi.
Yeah, I saw that. So I was trying to look at that at the same time. And just the data says RCS, okay, students of color, 148, white students, 178, staff of color, 7, and white staff, 44. Have we tried to do anything to maybe, I don't know, diversify the staff just a little bit more? Since there's only 7 staff of color? There's no sound.
I'm not sure if I'm the best person to speak to this. I know Stephen Parisi has been involved in initiatives for that, but I do know that we are working on workforce diversity, meaning that we are trying to recruit, teachers of color, staff of color into the district. Absolutely, because we realize that, again, in isolating race, we understand there's a lot of research out there that students of color, it really benefits them to see staff who are representative of themselves, just like they need to have books in their hands of kids and families who are representative of themselves.
Very good. Are there any other questions? Good. They can hear me now. Anyone else? Ms. Parati?
Thank you. So I just had a comment and a question. So on your slide of the team, I noticed there's a lot of people on the team, and coaches and social workers and just a lot of support staff. So I think that's great that you're able to do that. And my question is, are all of the classroom teachers seeking help and asking the team, or is it a few? It's all of them? See you nodding.
Another great question. So yes, and what I did fail to mention is that when they're seeking that time, and Mrs. Steck alluded to it in her response, it's their own time. So the dedication that goes along with, making sure that we are providing our students with, the best instruction, and that the action steps speak to what they are doing in the classroom, or they want to do, or they need help knowing what to do, is so prevalent. Like I couldn't be more proud of, of my teachers and just the people that work with them. And, everyone has given up their time to do this, because at the end of the day, it's about all students.
Thank you. That's great to hear.
And I was just going to add, I'd love to say that also, I feel that we're a very approachable team, and we work hard to be, because we don't want teachers to feel like coming to our team means they've failed at something or that they have failed at a student, teaching a student the best way that they can, that we are a support system through and through, and that it's it's a place where it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to take those brave, courageous steps to say, I'm needing this support. And, I think as our team, we are doing an incredible job wrapping our arms around those teachers, saying, we will be there for you. We will support you, whatever it takes.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Ms. Yop, you still have your hand up. Do you have another question? I'm going to assume no. Do you have anything further you want to share?
Sure, I was going to close it out and then kick it over to Mr. Freese. Is that okay?
Okay, yes, please do.
All right, I just want to thank our Ruth Chafee team for presenting this evening. As I mentioned at the start of your presentation, we saw this team in action literally 2 days ago, or was that yesterday? It was yesterday. And they really, truly do live this work. And they do discuss all students. What I think has changed significantly this year is our courageous conversations and some of the other strategies that we're using to address the achievement gap. But I would concur with everyone's comments that all children, we want them all to achieve at high levels. So thank you so much, Ruth Chafee. We appreciate your efforts and have a great evening. Everyone's clapping, virtual clapping. All righty. It is now my pleasure to head into new business and turn the microphone over to Mr. Farisi. He is going to cover 2 agenda items this evening, his annual enrollment projections report. So it helps us guide our decisions about staffing. And then he will segue into his policy review practices. And Mr. Farisi, I understand you have ability to project. I do. Excellent. It's all yours.
All right. And if you could please in your packet turn to F1, that's where the enrollment projections for next school year will be found. I'd like to highlight just a few things in these enrollment projections. They're very stable as to next year as they are this year. So right now we're hovering around 3,900 students. Next year, after we look at things like our open choice seat declaration enrollment, our students who will remain back for a 5th year, our transition academy students, we're around 3,904 students. So, give or take a few students is where we are. And so, we're looking to maintain our staffing similar to how we are maintaining our students. What I can show you, if you go a little deeper into the packet, which would be, I would call on page 3, you'll see the first chart. What that really shows is the comparison of this school year to next school year. I apologize that it's very small. In paper, you can't, physically blow it up, but on the laptop, maybe you can. But what you're going to see are numbers that are somewhat stable, yet sometimes fluctuate a little bit from grade level to grade level, as larger classes in one grade level then proceed to move up to the next grade level. You'll see that primarily where they're highlighted at both Anna Reynolds and John Patterson in yellow in grade 4. Is everyone kind of with me on the charts there?
Yep.
So those 2 grade levels will be going up. They need an additional classroom teacher in order for us to maintain acceptable class sizes. And what we see similarly is that we are sending up to both middle schools from 4th grade this year a much lower enrolled group of students. So we will be borrowing from grade 5 to bring down to grade 4 to fulfill that need. So again, it maintains our staff to be stable with some movements from within to manage any kind of ups or downs that we see within the student enrollment projections. Otherwise, the only staffing that we will be trying to recruit and hire, which is the ops question, a very hopefully diverse group of educators that we will look to hire, will be from staff who are leaving us generally due to retirement, where they have other places that they will be going to enjoy their career. So that's kind of the kind of summation of the staffing or enrollment projections for next year. Again, really staying right around the same level, expecting to maintain the same amount of staff, and kind of looking to stay right there. I'd offer an opportunity for any questions that you might have.
Ms. Strauss?
I was looking at this the other, when it was sent to me, and my question is for the high school,
Yes.
and I'm sure it's here, and I'm sure it's right, I just don't understand it. So it looks to me like grade 9, it went from 358 kids to 318. Am I understanding that correctly?
That is the projected enrollment, yes.
And we're not gonna move one of those teachers, or does it not matter because high school, they teach all different levels?
So that is what happens. These numbers, although we just kind of put a number in there, I'm probably better off not even putting the number of teachers with a student enrollment figure in there, because it really is based on what courses students take, right? So that number is somewhat, and I hate to say it, but fictitious, only to get to the summation of what the total student enrollment will be at that grade level. So that is really hard, because students will still need their number of English classes, math, so we have to maintain that. This number doesn't go low enough that we wouldn't still have to maintain the amount of classes we need for the core, and then all of the electives come into play. So yeah, we wouldn't look to move at this time. If it were to reduce much more significantly than that, we might consider that. Any other questions? Should I roll right into the next agenda item? All right.
Thank you.
It's presented. So, like our hockey team and our ladies basketball team, I have a phenomenal team myself, and you might not know that, but they are among you all in this room. They are our policy committee team, and they came to our first meeting just excited and invigorated with a lot of great ideas in ways that we're going to move forward. And one of those was for me to share with you some of the methodologies by which we are going to review and analyze policy to make certain that we are not only looking at it from a lens of what is good and right for all students, but I guess I would relate this to what Mrs. Lawrence shared, Principal Lawrence shared with us and her team, that we're also going to have a focus on equity. And I'll get to that in just a moment. But we've created, and this is now housed, and you can access this website from our main district level website in 2 places, right off the Board of Education portion of the website and from our HR section of the website. So you can come here, and we are going to keep for everyone just live what we're doing. So that way anyone who wants to see what the Board of Ed Policy Committee is up to can come here and visit it. I'd suggest spending a couple hours. It's really engaging, and to go through it at your leisure. But really right up front, what you're going to see is just the board members who are on, myself included. And every page, you can always access our online board policy manual right from here. So every page from this website. And I want to thank my team, honestly, for this idea to build the website out, so that way we could have one centralized location for anyone and everyone to go to when they want to see what the Board of Ed is focused on with policy. As you all know, the Board of Ed's pretty much #1 job, maybe outside of hiring and retaining a superintendent, is to manage policy. That is your #1 priority, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that this is out here and transparent for the public to see. But something that we think is very important is for everyone just to understand kind of our mission and our goals. And it's really the goals of the board. And those are to be able to create policy that's applicable to all state and federal law, but then also guides and governs this Board of Education and our educational system in a way that helps all students succeed at high levels. So that's really what our goals are. And our procedures to do that will be to continuously review the highlights and any policy legislative changes that come to us from the state slater, and to be able to review those on a frequent basis to make certain that we're then looking at our current policy to make sure there's an alignment or any adjustments that need to be made. So we're always up to date and in compliance. Equally, we then need to look at policies that may not be influenced by either of those reasons, but we know that maybe they are not meeting our student needs, and we need to adjust them based on that. And that is sometimes where things like an equity lens could come into play, or even something like there is no legislative mandate right now to look at dress code, but we know it's important because times evolve, things evolve. We need to take a look at that and really see what makes sense now for our students in this community. So those are ways in which we will continuously review, analyze, and look at policy. I've referred a couple times to using an equity lens, and the very first thing you're going to see on this page is really the working definition that the Newington Public Schools has adopted. And without reading too much to readers, I do want to just share it quickly. Educational equity here in Newington means ensuring just outcomes for each student. So right there, each student, right? And raising marginalized voices and addressing the imbalance of power and privilege. So we try to address all students, but we also realize that we have to reach those who have marginalized voices and address an imbalance in power and privilege. So through that, we will bring that lens to policy as we review it. We have two guiding documents. First, a core belief. And I'm going to focus on two words that are critical in our core beliefs. It is equality, which is that we just treat everyone and everything the same, versus kind of an equity mindset, where we're really ensuring just outcomes for each student, again, raising marginalized voices and addressing the imbalance of power and privilege. And as you go down, if we were to maintain the type of world where we look at just equality, you would see this graphic representation. And it's really that all students, no matter who they are, start on the same floor and they have the same ladder to climb to achieve that diploma. But I think what we know is that isn't true. And so we have to take an equity lens and an equity approach to this work. And what we start to realize is that some students are more privileged right off the bat. They come from homes that are able to offer more. And so those students get to start ahead. Or they come from environments where they're able to get more. And those students are able to start ahead. And that's great. We have to meet those students where they are and continue to help them grow. And then we have some students who might not have as much. And so they start a little bit behind those students I described first. But then we have students who aren't just behind those students, but they start out in a hole. And they start out at a deficit. And so they're even below where other students are coming at a foundational level. And we've got to not only help them out of that hole so they can at least be on somewhat of a starting field, like level playing field. We've got to look at, do they even have the same scaffold to climb up to get to that diploma? And what we start to realize, and what I think Ruth Chafee shared with us earlier, is that there are some things that occur throughout life that aren't always equal or equitable for children, for families, for any of us in this room. And so we have to realize that it's not just the same ladder that we're all trying to climb. As we go down and we take a look at this graphic, other things get in the way. And the ladder's a little bit broken for some, because there are things like microaggressions, like implicit bias, like disproportionate, remediation techniques and strategies that some kids get, certain pathway of teachers, some get a different pathway, certain schooling, other schooling. So like Mrs. Lawrence said, we try to make sure that all that happens with fidelity in all of our classrooms, and that we're able to accomplish that for all students. So that way, at least the ladder is straight for everyone. So what we're trying to do here in the Newington Public Schools is take this and take a look at it and try to repair it in a way where we can eliminate those boundaries for all students and be able to make it so that way we can help all students achieve and get to that goal of graduation. So that is, those are the efforts there. I'm pausing for, yes. Zoom is not even. And the next thing we use to do this when we're looking at policy through an equity lens are equity prompts. So this sheet right here, if you take a look at it, will start to show for you. And I won't read it to you all. I'll let you take a look at some equity prompts that are available that help guide us through this work. So using this lens, plus the lens of legislative, mandates that do come out, highlights, and things that we know we have to consider when we're looking through policy, are all ways in which we continue to look at policy and make our decisions. On this website also, you will see when the next meeting date, time, and location will be, and any previous meetings that have occurred, and what that meeting agenda was, and what the meeting minutes are. So you can review all that. This will continuously be updated as we keep doing our great work and working together as a team to achieve policy revisions. So with that, and in the very back, last link, you'll see some resources that we have. So we get a lot of our policy highlights and updates through CABE, the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, which I know you all belong to. So you may receive some of those highlights as well. And we use those along with legislative updates and other things that come along our way, sometimes to Dr. Brummett and myself, that are just sent from the state or from the federal government, and we can use those as well. But these are some of the major areas where we get our guidance from. Shipman and Goodwin too, I think our attorneys provide some guidance as well. So those will be hosted up here. So I would open it up to any questions that you might have.
I don't see any hands online. Anyone here? Ms. Weaver?
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Furzy. That was quite good work given our last meeting. It was like 2 weeks ago. So just want to say thank you, and obviously to our subcommittee members. I think, one of the things that, like Mr. Furzy said, was policy is a big part of what we do. And there are constantly more mandates coming out and more changes that need to be made. So it's one of those things that is constant work. But I think, one of the things our board has endeavored to do, or this board and past board, is to be transparent. So I think this is only one of those key things. So we appreciate that work, and hopefully people will be able to go and see the work we're doing. I know sometimes we just give subcommittee reports, but this will be a way to have that access. So thank you for suggesting that, Mr. Rose, and one of you would say that's it. So thank you both.
Take it.
But just wanted to say, I think that really reflects what we endeavor as a board to do, is to provide transparency. So.
Very well done. Very well done. Yep. Are there any other questions? I will say I'm impressed with that. When you emailed me about that, I was excited about that, because that gives everybody access. So if they want to question what's going on, and as you shared, our major job is policy. So I will say that I missed that committee, but I will try to join you in the next meeting. I will be there. All right. So does that conclude?
Well, we are just have some resolutions.
Right.
But yes, that includes the reports from.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Farisi. Okay, so we're going to be moving on to agenda item 3, F3. It's in your packet. These are very simple resolutions. So I can assure you we won't be here all night debating these. All right. So each year, the Board of Education presents a resolution to the school and central office secretaries to honor their commitment to the students of the Newington Public Schools. Wednesday, April 6, 2022 has been designated as Newington Professional Secretaries Day. So we're going to request that the board approve the attached resolution for presentation on April 6, 2022. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to read the resolution. Ms. Hutt-Wagner.
Move the Board of Education proclaim Wednesday, April 6, 2022 as Newington Professional Secretaries Day to honor the school and central office secretaries' commitment to the students of the Newington Public Schools.
All right, the motion is made, has been seconded by Ms. Parati. Any discussion? Ms. Weaver?
I just want to say, in the absence of one of our former board members, Mr. Sylvia had said, all of these resolutions are on different days, so everyone gets their own day. Woohoo.
I thought of the same thing when I was looking at them. Yes. All right. Any other discussion? Okay. Seeing no discussion, I'm going to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Michael Branda.
Danielle Gross. Yes. Dr. Bruce Fletcher.
Yes.
Beth Mankey Wagner.
Yes.
Richard Laverier.
Yes.
Amy Parati.
Yes.
Sam Sharma.
Yes.
Jessica Weaver.
Yes.
Anastasia Yap.
Yes.
The motion passed unanimously.
Very good. Let's move on to F4. Each year, the Board of Education presents a resolution to teachers to honor their commitment to the students of the Newington Public Schools. May 3rd, 2022 has been designated as Newington Teacher Appreciation Day. Request the board approve the attached resolution for presentation on April 20th, 2022. Ms. Weaver?
Move the Board of Education proclaim May 3rd, 2022 as Newington Teacher Appreciation Day to honor Newington teachers for their commitment to the new children of Newington.
Motion's made. Seconded by Mr. Laverier. Any discussion? I just will say thank you, teachers. And we'll say it again on that day. Okay, if the clerk would please call the roll.
Michael Branda.
Yes.
Danielle Gross. Yes. Dr. Bruce Fletcher.
Yes.
Beth Mankey Wagner.
Yes.
Richard Laverier.
Yes.
Amy Parati.
Yes.
Sam Sharma.
Yes.
Jessica Weaver.
Yes.
Anastasia Yap.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to item F5. Each year, the Board of Education presents a resolution to para-educators to honor their commitment to the students of Newington Public Schools. May 3rd, 2022 has been designated as Newington Para-Educator Appreciation Day. Request the board approve the attached resolution for presentation on April 20th, 2022. Ms. Parati?
Move the Board of Education proclaim May 3rd, 2022 as Newington Paraeducator Appreciation Day to honor Newington paraeducators for their commitment to the children of Newington.
Motion is made. Seconded by Ms. Droz. Any questions or comments?
It's the same day as F3 for the teachers.
I'm incorrect now. I take back my previous comments.
So is we want it that way?
Sure.
Okay.
We've done it that way in the past.
Paras and teachers on the same day?
Yeah.
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 There's our teachers.
Yes, Ms. Weaver?
I think the issue is that in the subject matter, it says April 20th, and then on both of the previous motion and this motion, it says April 20th in bold at the top and the subject, and then the recommended motion is May 3rd. So there's a discrepancy between the subject matter and the actual resolution.
May 3rd is the day of the
Today,
proclamation.
the proclamation. Do we want to keep it the
The
same?
presentation is going to be,
Okay.
because that's our
I'm saying
board
board
meeting.
meeting. Okay, so we don't want to have, just
Right.
like make it clear, we don't want to have the separate meeting. That's fine. I just retract my previous comments.
Ms. Wagner.
I certainly could see in previous years where we wanted things on different days. However, when it comes to paraeducators and our teachers, I do feel like that is appropriate to have both those categories on the same day, only because paraeducators are sometimes so underappreciated, and they educate all of our kids in so many different ways that folks don't even know about. So I think to put them on the same day as teachers helps to put them up on that pedestal where they belong. So that would be my only, I get why that's together.
Yep.
Just wanted-
I can tell you that in the past, I've represented the para educators on that particular day. And, you know, we worked hand in hand with our teaching staff. Sometimes you didn't know the difference. You all laughing at me. I don't know why. No, I haven't. I promise you, I haven't climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
You had to eliminate a mountain right there in your brain.
Okay.
We defer to the chair as a paraeducator on this matter.
I'm embarrassed.
I think we have some writing award recipient students who would be happy to come together and write your biography, which I would like a signed copy of.
I don't think you want to know. All right. So anyway, any more discussion on this matter? Okay. What's that? Hands up, Anastasia. Oh, Miss Yop, go ahead. Thank you.
I'd like to agree with Beth, and I think paraeducators are important. Having a child myself, sometimes I didn't realize in his class which ones are the paras, which ones are the teachers, because they both do such an awesome job and, giving the teacher a hand and, sometimes actually like helping teach the class if the teacher's out. So I do agree with it being on the same day. And I thought that was awesome that she mentioned that. So thank you, Beth, for that.
All right, Mr. Branda.
I just really quick wanted to mention this, that I haven't researched how far this bill has gone, but just this board especially, we talked a lot about paras and about how much more, I think, not only we could do if we had unlimited resources to do, but the state as well. And there is a bill, and I have it up here, an act implementing certain recommendations of the School Paraeducator Advisory Council, and that's in the Education Committee, I believe. And if anybody on this board wants, I'm sure Dr. Broma could send that, or I could send it out to the board. I think it's a really interesting bill. I don't know how far it's going to go, but it does speak to a lot of things that we spoke about during the budget process. So I just wanted to call attention to that.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. If we could get that sent out. Yeah. All right. Any further comment or questions? If not, I'm going to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Michael Branda,
Yes.
Danielle Drove, yes. Dr. Bruce Fletcher.
Yes.
Beth Menke, Hufagner,
Yes.
Richard LaVerriere,
Yes.
Amy Parati,
Yes.
Sam Sharma,
Yes.
Jessica Weaver,
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to F6. Each year, the Board of Education presents a resolution to school nurses to honor their commitment to the students of the Newington Public Schools. May 11th, 2022 is National School Nurses Day. Request the board approve the resolution for presentation on May 11th, 2022. Ms. Weaver?
Move the Board of Education proclaim Wednesday, May 11th, 2022 as School Nurses Day to honor Newington nurses for their commitment to the health and well-being of our school-age children.
All right, the motion is made. Do I have a second from Ms. Hudvagner?
Third, that was the second.
Thirds. That's good. That's good. All right, so I'm going to open it for discussion. No? No? Everybody? I'm getting thumbs up here. I don't see hands up in there, so I'm going to ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Michael Branda,
Yes.
Danielle Drove, yes. Dr. Bruce Fletcher.
Yes.
Beth Menke, Hufagner,
Yes.
Richard LaVerriere,
Yes.
Yes.
Sam Sharma,
Yes.
Jessica Weaver,
Yes.
Yes.
motion passed unanimously.
All right, very good. Now, Dr. Brummett will review with the board some recommended adjustments to the May and June 2022 school calendar.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fletcher. So this is not the discussion about all of the calendar changes for which we did a survey. That is going to be at our next board meeting. This is just some changes necessitated or desired for a variety of reasons. And in fact, I have actually one more request, but we can decide if that's for tonight or not. But in short, The high school has some challenges because the seniors are ending on the 7th, because we set their date quite a while ago, which causes them to have to back up their exams. And the way the high school calendar works, that is a gyration that we need to add some half days. So after conferring with Ms. Tigno as well as her leadership team, she is requesting that we make for seniors, or for the high school anyway, on May 27th, May 31st, and June 1st, shortened days, which will allow the seniors to have exams that day. The underclassmen will have longer block scheduling that day for review for exams, but the actual seniors will be taking their exams over the course of those 3 days. So we would just want to request that the board consider those for half days. Should I talk about the other one, or we're going to handle each motion separately? All right, I will turn it back over to you.
Okay. Ms. Drost?
How would that look for kids who, you have seniors and juniors in the same class?
Good question.
It just came to me. I don't want you to think, like, it literally just came to me when you said it.
That's a very good question. I believe, if I may answer that, I will verify this, but I believe this is strictly for seniors. So the underclassmen will have their exam later on, and they would get some additional review time. So I imagine the exams, if there are those blended classes, would be proctored by a teacher separate from that. I'm going to verify that, though, to make sure I'm right about that, but that is my assumption, but I will confirm that.
Good question. Ms. Weaver?
This obviously bookends Memorial Day weekend, but I'm just trying to figure out, would the exams be in the afternoon, like after the shortened day, or during that?
They would be during the shortened day, concurrent with kids, the other underclassmen having a shortened day as well, and they'll just have a different program than the seniors.
Okay, and obviously, for those seniors that are exempt from finals, are they to just kind of like attend the class, or?
That day becomes optional for them.
Okay.
Which we'll get into in a moment as well, but yes, it becomes optional for them. And in fact, even on normal exam days, kids don't have exams every day. Maybe you recall that from your high school years, where maybe you have exams on Monday, but not Tuesday, depending on how your classes fell. So it would be treated just like that for seniors that are exempt.
Right, okay, thank you. I just didn't want to, I could see the potential for complaints about Memorial Day weekend exams, but I mean, it's June exams and everything else. People just want to get out. So, okay, thank you. That's helpful.
I am actually apprehensive about that. The 27th is before Memorial Day. But isn't it right? Am I right? Is Memorial Day the 30th? I'm apprehensive about having exams after a long weekend. So I don't know if Tara would be willing to do like the like the 27th, 1st and 2nd, or the 1st, 2nd and 3rd. I'm not opposed to doing the half day. I just know as a parent, like it drove me nuts when teachers had stuff to do after a long weekend. I'm like, come on, I want to go away. I want to have fun. You know, some parents, it might be their last long weekend with their children.
We can table this if you'd like.
Okay, so I would question, who suggested these dates?
This was the product of the Ms. Tigno, her administrative team, and then a teacher leadership team. So they met about this twice over the past week or so to confer about this. I was not in the room, so I don't know whether there was any consideration given to the day after a long weekend. Was there any hesitation there? I can certainly, we have time yet, so I can certainly ask Ms. Tigno to elaborate on that point of the discussion.
Okay, I think it's a good idea. Ms. Weaver?
Yeah, I guess my question was just like, obviously the before, why I asked about the shortened days, because I know some people, want to take off that afternoon or something. And then, I mean, I don't know, does it make the difference between, moving it from Tuesday to Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday? I don't know if that gives them an extra, I mean, I don't want to admit how I cram studied for exams. But I don't know. I just don't want it to be, a controversial thing where if people had plans, I know obviously this last month is packed with certain things, but if it's not a big deal to change it from, a Tuesday, Wednesday and give everyone a day to come back for the holiday, I don't see the harm in that. do see the potential for complaints if it was right after a weekend, not from a lot, but just from some. I don't know if to Ms. Drosman, someone who has a senior could speak easily to that more than and cry. I'm sorry to make you emotional.
So anyone else? You desire to table it, you can make a motion to table that. Oh, go ahead, Ms. Parati.
Just another consideration is I'm not sure if the teachers need time to grade or that kind of thing, because graduation is the 7th, which is shortly after, so just another thing to put on the table as far as a question. Ms. Tignell?
It's a little bird may have put an idea in my head. It could also be like award ceremonies, like in the conflict of like when that scholars breakfast is and stuff like that. So we might not be able to table it, but and it's not every senior who's gonna take, because if you have what, a B or above or an A or above?
B.
A minus.
Is
or
it-
so?
Been 100 years since I was in A.
A right.
Yes, the scholar breakfast.
Most likely, I mean, I do believe there was a fair amount of consideration. But if it would help the board feel better about the decision, I'm happy to get some of these questions answered and kind of look at the context of award ceremonies, other pressing matters, grading time spans. And I'll get a clear answer about what happens to the underclassmen who are in a senior class.
Okay,
Can I make a motion to table this discussion?
Yes.
To get more information?
yes.
Second.
I'm just staring.
Okay, so there's a motion to table this part of this recommended motion, and we have a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. None opposed, unanimously passes. So we will table that until we get more information. We do have another motion on the same page.
Yes, I'd like to speak to the motion about changing the last day for students from June 14th to June 13th. We do have 181 days baked into our calendar, so the 180th day would be June 13th. Why I'm proposing that is we were going to use the 14th as a day to, in many ways, provide some in-service, but really the crux of that day for teachers is to honor and acknowledge a lot of the gains we've made this year in our equity efforts. We are going to have, bless you, we're going to have some presentations or poster sessions by our teachers. We're going to have, opportunities to hear from panels. And then toward the end of that, we will have community members come in and share with us their cultural experiences. So it's meant to be an end of the year celebration and PD day for teachers. It's really the only day we can do it, and it would not affect the state mandated days. Ms. Rose asked me a good question by email prior to tonight's meeting. She's on a roll tonight. What about the SAT day where not everyone came to the high school? When I looked at all the legislation behind that, as long as that day was offered to everybody, then it is still a school day. And as I looked into it with Mr. Korn, he explained that we do allow our special ed kids to come in that day, regardless of their grade level. We have AP test prep going on that day. And if a parent were to say, wait, I want my student to come in and have some help in the library, we would make that accommodation. So there is access to school that day for children. Similarly to kids, as we discussed earlier, who don't have exams, they don't have to come to school that day, but the school day is available to them should they want to. So that is my recommendation for June 13th being the last day. We've got some plans. I've checked with NetKey. They're okay with that. I've checked with food services, and we can offer meals to go home that following day if that is if we have people that are interested in that. So I will turn it back over to you, Dr. Fletcher.
All right. So with that information, somebody want to read the motion? Ms. Hudbagner?
Move the Board of Education change June 13th, 2022, the 180th school day, is the last day for students, and that June 14th, 2022 is a professional learning day for teachers.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Parati. Now we open it for discussion. Questions, comments? Ms. Parati.
So I just remember, I don't know, a couple of months ago, maybe when we were having a calendar discussion, and I think that I had asked why we had 181 days in the calendar and not 180 as is required by the state. So I'm just wondering if we take away this 181st day, is that going to interfere with learning or any things that the teachers need to do to fulfill requirements?
We did run this by all the principals to make sure it wouldn't create havoc at the last week of school. And they felt confident that we could rearrange things. A lot of these last days of school, there are award ceremonies. It's not your high level of learning. It's like cleaning out classrooms. So we would just have to back that up. If teachers know what's happening now, they could make sure to plan for what still needs to get in. So the principals have all been apprised of this thought and were in, they confirmed that they would be approval of it or in concurrence with it. However, they really wanted to make sure that that PD day for teachers was not going to be a lot of stand and deliver, but we've assured everyone that it will be a very interactive and in many ways a celebratory day. Board members will be invited to attend if their schedule permits. So that is the, sorry about that. Anyway, that's kind of what went through that progression of discussions. I don't see this happening year after year. I just think this has been such a unique year that this felt like a decision that I'd like to run by the board or an opportunity to run by the board.
All right, thank you. Any more questions? Seeing none, we'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Michael Branda,
Yes.
Danielle Droz. Yes. Dr. Bruce Fletcher,
Yes.
Beth Mankey Het Wagner,
Yes.
Richard Laverier,
Yes.
yes. Sam Sharma,
Yes.
Jessica Weaver,
Yes.
Anastasia Yap.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Excellent. So that brings us to the end of our new business. We will now move on to item G, which is public participation on any matter related to board responsibilities. I don't see anyone in person here right now. If you're in Zoom or listening, you can call at 860-665-8659. And if you want to participate, we're going to ask you to keep your comments or questions to 3 minutes. So we'll wait a moment for any hands to go up or any calls to come in. While we do that, I'm just going to ask if there are any further comments by any board member. Mr. Laverier.
Are we getting into G or H rather? Okay.
Yeah, well, we'll do it simultaneously.
Okay, good. So back when we were running in the election, I ran, and one of the platforms that I ran on was to make up for lost time in education. I do understand that we got some grant money to have summer education programs this year. I am calling on the Board of Education right now that I think that we can make the education better forevermore. And I am hoping that the curriculum committee can review, and I'm calling on the board to implement a financial literacy course, 0.5 credits, mandatory for all seniors. I feel that this is something that the school can tie into the equity and inclusion philosophy, as there are a lot of disparities as it comes to wealth management and retirement. And I think that all students need to have basic fundamental financial knowledge as to about savings, checking, credit cards, investment, retirements, how to do your taxes, etc. This is valuable material that would prepare our students for the real world. And if possible, I'd like to see this come into play for 23. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Weaver.
Okay, I don't want to comment, but Where were you last legislative cycle? Yeah, I've been advocating for this actually for a long time. Not long time, but since I was in college. And we do offer not a mandatory. There's a difference between mandatory being offered and mandatory being it. I can give you every financial literacy statistic out there. Florida just passed one on a mandatory being offered. But there are some good statistics out there. Check out the National Financial Educators Council. They're really good. But we do offer a half-year course on personal finance. There's 2 different courses. I was unable to take it because it would have lowered my GPA. So it's one of those things where it wasn't offered as an honors class. That's nerd style for like it's offered as an academic, but we've since changed a little bit of that. But yeah, it's not mandatory, but it is. We do have a couple offerings of personal finance classes, but I think everyone should have to take it. And if not, there is some things I've worked on at UConn where they have personal finance platforms offered for free to every prospective student and alumni. So if you go to igrad.com, many of the universities already offer that. I think university level is too late, and I think we should be implementing it there, but totally agree with you. I'm glad you brought that up. And then finally, I just wanted to also just go back to the beginning of our meeting and congratulate all of our writers. We kind of had so many celebrations, but I just want to say, I think it's one of the things that reflects, we have so many great aspects. We have the athletics, we have the students, but we obviously had our speaker and a lovely essay at our last meeting, but just want to say congratulations, particularly to one of our board members, children, Ms. Quinn DeVoe, on those great achievements. I think it's great that, and also to have a teacher really promoting this out, that it's not just at Anna Reynolds, but going out to all of our other schools. I think this is one of the great recognitions we can get, continuing to grow Newington's stamp on the map. So I just want to congratulate everyone again who was on earlier. I think it's great to see that, particularly at the younger grades, getting a love of writing and reading is one of the key tenets I think we all want to instill in our students. So congratulations again to them.
Right, thank you. Mr. Sharma.
I think Jessica just answered my question, but maybe I can just, maybe if Maureen could comment. So there is a financial literacy course that's available to high schoolers.
Yes, it is available. It is just not a mandate. I'm just reviewing our mandatory courses. And even when we change to the higher requirements for credit as of next year, the financial literacy is not a mandatory course. But it could be, anyone would have access to it.
Okay, thanks, Maureen.
Hey, Ms. Yop.
I'm also, if allowed, commenting with Jessica. I did hear her mention something about it wasn't offered as an honors class. And I myself in high school took tons of AP and honors classes. Is that something that maybe can be changed? Can it be offered as an honors class?
Whoever wants to.
I don't believe it can, but do you have information otherwise, Mrs. Drost?
I don't know if it can or can't, because that's not my pay grade, but I can say that if the student wants to take it, they can take it as a class, but that credit wouldn't go into their GPA.
Yeah.
So it would no longer affect their GPA, so they could still take the course, still get their A, but it wouldn't lower their GPA.
But I could certainly look into whether there is a potential to make it an honors class. I just have to look at how they decide what makes an honors class versus another level of class, but thank you.
Very good, thank you. Ms. Wagner.
Just want to do due diligence. I will bring that up. I know we do meet next Wednesday, so if it's okay with you, and she's already on top of this, but we will put this on the agenda and look into all of it, and then I will come to our following board meeting with a report, and we can kind of, I guess, go from there, because I think there's I think that's amazing. I realized that Mr. Helming was here, and while we were congratulating the athletes, it was just a lot of wonderful things. But I just wanted to say a huge thank you to him, because I just think writing is just such a powerful tool. And those students really deserve such honor for their hard work, but especially Mr. Helming for inspiring those students to express themselves through writing. Sometimes kids are very hesitant to pick up the pencil, pen, or whatever, Chromebook, and get those words out. But I think that once they do, they kind of tap into a whole other side of themselves. And, I just want to thank him for that. I think that's really powerful. Obviously an amazing educator that we have in him.
Yes, absolutely. Ms. Weaver.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to say open Pandora's box, but like this is my jam, financial literacy. I worked on this with Denise Napier, our former state treasurer, when in about 2017, and in 2015, Connecticut created a statewide curriculum for financial literacy, so it's already out there. One of the things I continued to advocate for was that mandatory option, but it kind of my perspective changed when I came on the board, and that's because of unfunded mandates. And one of the things that we need to, and I've talked to considerably with actually the principal of EO Smith on this when I was taking an education policy course. And I said, like we always talk about what do we want our students, that portrait of the graduate really back then. And that was one of the tenets we thought students should have. It's just one of those things I think that gets very hard when you already have so many structured things. And it's something I think we can continue to bring up. But let's just say as an outside before being on the board, it was obviously it should be mandatory, obviously this and obviously that. And then you get into this board table and you start thinking and listening to teachers and administrators and curriculum writers. And it's sometimes difficult to be able to fit in when you think everything should be mandatory. And this is one of the key things I think should continue to be, but it's a different perspective when you have to budget for that and continuing to budget for an already limited amount of teachers that we have. So it's just something to keep in mind as a perspective of someone who has to now be the one to what gets cut first and what are the essentials. And obviously we still have our, core subjects. One day I hope that changes, but it's also something that, we have to allocate for, and teachers only have so many hours in the day and so many contracted hours in a day. So things before, I think that as someone who was very, very adamant about this, my perspective changed a little bit, but I think one of the key steps is continuing to offer it at the first place and then seeing where we can go and work with our administrators and our curriculum on this. So financial literacy is something you can talk about me anytime. I still work at the treasurer's office now, so I'm happy to be an advocate or something. And I will say current bill is to create another committee on this. They've created multiple committees on this topic to see who offers what and where and when and how, and what those results are. But if anyone wants, they can reach out to me by email and I would love to have some coffee and chat about this for hours because I can clearly go on, but I just wanted to say that.
All right. It seems like this is getting some traction. Ms. Parati.
Yeah, I won't talk about financial literacy, but I do think it's a good idea. However, I just back to what Ms. Huffine, sorry. That Mr. Helming, yeah, my Quinn went to Anna Reynolds and Mr. Helming runs still running contests in Anna Reynolds, and I think he does an excellent job there. So I think it's open to second, maybe first graders now. And up. So he does a wonderful job at Anna Reynolds with that, getting kids interested in writing. And then obviously it translates to the Yukon Writers Contest, where I think Anna Reynolds had the most people from Newington, most students from Newington with getting awards, platinum and otherwise honorable mention, silver even. So yeah, kudos to Mr. Helming. And just one other thing for the public, to remind everybody of that the public hearing for the budget is next Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock here at Town Hall. So if anybody is interested in speaking up as a resident or a taxpayer or parent, I encourage everybody to voice their opinions and tell the town council how you feel about the budget in general, not just the Board of Ed, but everyone. And that's all.
All right. Thank you. And Mr. Sharma.
I just want to quickly thank our superintendent and also Mr. Parisi for the wonderful presentation at the event in the morning. It was the State of the Town breakfast. Just want to thank them and thank you for coming over and such a wonderful presentation. Thank you.
All right. Any comments from you?
Well, thank you, Mr. Sharma. I will be presenting next week the calendar to the board. I will also be asking the board to consider some additional half days for Anna Reynolds so they can pack up. But I will discuss that. We have a meeting tomorrow with it's called Moving and Storage. Once I hear the results of that, I'll be bringing forward probably a request to add some half days to Anna Reynolds so that they can be ready for construction. Thank you, sir.
All right. I look forward to that. That's exciting. Okay. Any further comments? All right, let me just say thank you to all of you for your participation tonight. Your input is valuable, and we appreciate everything that you bring to the table. We've accomplished a lot tonight. But the one thing that we have left to do is to eat cookies, but we can't do it until there's a motion to dismiss.
Second.
All in favor, grab your cookies and go home.
Bye.
Board Appreciation Part 2.
Do we get Sam and Anastasia's cookies?
We want cookies, me and Sam.